Let me get into like also talking about. I want to spend a few minutes discussing the different Neolithic sites that kind of are created throughout the world, because that's one thing you are going to see occur. You'll see all these ancient sites that kind of sprout up throughout the world, which a lot of them like were close to like the Middle East, and the Fertile Crescent was kind of close to where a lot of them came about originally. But you can see there, Jericho, which, if you know about Jericho, it's in Palestine in the West Bank. It dates back to about 10,000 BC. That is really considered to be one of the oldest, they think, Neolithic sites, or really oldest city on Earth. Some people think, that first sprouts up throughout the world. And the dating on it varies. I know they say 10,000 BC, but a lot of times it's 8 to 10,000 BC, maybe, when they think it got started. But what they do think is that it started out as a hunter-gatherer site where, hunter-gatherers kind of, I guess, had some kind of settlement where they would go out and hunt animals or whatever. And then over time, I guess through the Mesolithic into the Neolithic era, I guess later, you'll start to see transitions where it'll become more like a human settlement for like farming, etc. And its real name is Tel Es Sultan. You'll see that common name also being used as well, which I'll kind of share with you. There's kind of an image of the wall of Jericho right there. But some people call it Tal Es Sultan. It's another name, which Tel Es Sultan means Sultan's Hill. That's the archaeological name that they use to describe it. I think I've got other images right there. But I think it's not a very large site. It's only like 10 acres in size. It's about the size of Jericho. And they do think that only like a few thousand people lived there, like maybe 3,000 to 4,000 lived there at one point. But they do think it eventually becomes one of the oldest sites, of course, in the world. Here's kind of an image where they do think it had some kind of wall around it, so we call it Wall of Jericho, which is kind of a debate about how old the wall is. Some say the wall is about 8,000 years old, maybe actually 8,000 BC. Actually, is maybe how old it is. And it's very famous in the Bible. Like if you read the book of Joshua, they talk a lot about Jericho and the wall and how the Israelites conquered it, and it became one of their first major cities in like biblical times. And so it became very, very well known. Of course, it's also like a tower. I think a tower of Jericho that's also supposedly was built there on site as well. So that might be considered, like I said, the oldest city in the world at one point, at least going back to Neolithic times. More like a village, probably more than anything.